Hey guys, I'm Eric.
Crap. I'm Tim.
Glenda?
We are D&D Miniature and Board Game. So, we received a Kickstarter for Star Saga a couple days ago. We're able to play a little bit tonight. And thought we'd sit down, do what we normally do, give our impression of what we thought of the game. I'm thinking Tim really likes the flame token since it's stuck in his goatee. Well, his beard.
It's a beard.
As you guys know, if you've watched our reviews, we score on 1 to 5, 5 being excellent, 1 being horrible, and 3 being average, nothing good, nothing bad, just average. Tim, you want to take graphics and artwork?
I'll take graphics and artwork. I thought that the graphics and artwork were pretty freaking good. I gave them a 4. I like the fact that your character cards are large. They got a good amount of information. Plus the artwork on it is pretty cool to look at. It kind of enhances your enjoyment. Seeing your character in that 2-dimensional comic booky kind of neatness.
Glenda?
Okay. I gave it a 4. I gave it a 4.
And she's keeping it a secret. You know?
I like the... It's easy to look at, and it's nice to look at while you're playing, and you know where you're going. And it has that sci-fi effect. It's the way they design it, it's really a sci-fi game. Like it.
I as well. I mean, I gave it a 4. I have no real major complaints about it. I thought the cards were nice, and what I felt though, I felt that the tiles, maybe, I don't know, it was just something about them, maybe they had too much going on or not enough going on, but that was what distracted me from giving this a perfect 5, was just the game tiles. That and the fact that in the wrong color lighting, you almost have to get right up on top of the tile to see, like, from this side I can see the squares really well.
I
But
waited,
from my side, I couldn't see that very well.
I waited to bring that up in components.
Well, it is part of the graphics, so that's... But I will expound on it more when we get to components as well. But I gave it a 4. Glenda, rulebook. You never take us with the rulebook first.
Oh, okay. Well, I gave it a 4. On top of the regular rulebook that everything is elaborated with picture and describe. I guess they went, let me see.
The mission book?
Yeah, and no, the other one too. When they have everything.
The quick reference?
The quick reference. They went above
She would have got
the Call
it
of
eventually.
Duty. But anyway, and the pages are there. So basically, it really guides you what what you're looking for, where to go, and simple, I guess.
I gave the rulebook 4 as well. One of the main things that I saw was the quick guide, which Mantic usually does a pretty good job with these, though it's a rulebook in itself sometimes because there's a lot in there. But with this one, it was even more profound, I would say. Would that be a good enough word? Because they actually had go to this page if you need more explanation in the quick reference guide. The reason this didn't get a perfect 5 with me, and when I say 4, this takes from A to B. When you go through here, it's you do this, you do this. We were able to play pretty much straight from reading the rulebook for the first turn, the rest of it just glancing once in a while. The only thing is that
organized, I guess.
There are a couple things that just it seems like kind of out of order for it. It was like the one we kind of when you're doing close combat and there's more than 2 opponents, and it really didn't explain that till I think further in the back, and then we came back to the front and found what the bonus was. That was a little bit distracting for me. A couple of things you did have to look for, and I have found that with Mantic, they'll be laid out really well, but it's like those one or two little things that make a difference in the game. They're in obscure places, and you have to look for it, and it takes away from the rule book for me. So I gave it a 4.
It's a rule book. It does what a rule book's supposed to do. It's a 3.
You hate scoring rule books, don't you?
I hate reading.
Components. Tim, why don't you take components?
I gave components a 3. Now, that's not saying that, 3 is average, 3 is what you'd expect. Some of the big drawbacks is I saw some of the smaller parts, some of the more flimsy parts in the game were kind of jacked up, and they're going to have to get treated. My biggest gripe, though, was the tiles. The spacing on them, it's very difficult to see. I personally think that it's more. I don't think lighting matters. It's one of those situations that you're really gonna have to get close to the board to see where your spaces are. And I didn't like that. But there's a plethora of playable figures. All the figures look pretty freaking cool. They're all, colored so you know who's who. Everything else is very solid. All these objects here, the doors, the cases, even these little doodads over here that we didn't get that are like
The cartridge too.
CO2 cartridges for their Coke machines and stuff. They're really good. The card stock for the cards was really good.
Texture.
It's a solid, but it could have been better. So I gave it 3.
Glenda.
All right, I gave it a 5. The figures are great. What can you say about that? I'm not going to take points because it sat in the warehouse in China and got heated up, and I don't think it's a quality issue. I think it's a storage issue. It's what do you call that? When you store it, I guess it's more on that. That's something that I guess with the hot water treatment you can really fix it. Nothing was damaged when we really damaged parts or when we got it. The cards are awesome. I like the texture. I like the colors. I like how they have different sizes for the cards and its functions. Still. But yeah, they have those different sizes for it, so you can distinguish which card is for what, and the dice. I like the whole thing. So I like it. It's a 5.
Hey, so I gave it a 3. Reason I gave it a 3 was, and as I said, I was going to go back to it. The way they decided the spacing on the map tiles is just it's
hard to see.
It's hard to see. And I understand they did that so it didn't take away from what the tile looked like.
Correct.
But you know what? At the end of the day, if a person has a hard time seeing what space is what, it doesn't matter how nice the game tile looks.
And just to add to that, though, they're not even the same size. Because
the little stars.
Right. And that's kind of like your divider, and they're not even the same size. I mean, that's what I'm saying is, if I'm looking across the table over here, it's difficult for me to tell, if I'm pre-counting my movements.
It's difficult to tell.
It's difficult to tell, where I'm at.
Now, unlike Glenda, I took points away for the warpage. I admit, and they said it was because it was in a warehouse, but if I gotta do the hot water treatment to over 50% of a game. And a lot of my figures are bent over, and most of the most of the terrain pieces are in a little bit of disarray. I mean, the table isn't even flat, okay?
Who cares?
The other reason I gave a 3
Sit
though,
on it.
China.
the other reason I gave a 3
China.
was because one of the components that came with this game, the first aid, I think it's like a first aid pack or something like that,
It's super tiny.
is so small. I almost threw them away because I thought it was trash.
It was you will think it was
I mean,
part of a big figure.
Come on, you guys go to such a great lengths with the details and stuff, and then you make a special piece that is the size of a pinhead. Really? I'm sorry, but when you do something like that and I almost throw the piece away, I had to give it a 3 on that. Replayability, though. I gave replayability a strong 4, personally. I think it's got a lot of campaigns. I see the ability that if you... Now, we played cooperatively where the Nexus was automated, an AI. But I can see that if you had an Overlord player, I can see the ability to make your own maps also once you get through the campaigns and really wreak havoc on your fellow gamers. So, I gave it a solid 4 in replayability. Glenda?
I gave it a 5!
No!
Hey, I like the game. I like it. I like the randomness of the game, the combination of the dice and the cards, what do you call that? The mission. I like that. And it's very dynamic. At the same time, you can come up with different results, different people, different campaigns. How many players can play this? As much as
You know, you asked me that.
before 5.
Couldn't you ask me that once?
I mean, imagine we just played the 3 of us.
6.
Sometime before we actually started doing a
But
review, could you ask me something like
us
that?
playing it, there's like
20.
endless
Well, actually, I
possibilities
think-
on this one.
I
too,
think
like with the
you can have a
Overlord.
lot of players, but there's only a certain amount of mercenary actions.
Oh, okay.
So, like, even if you have 6 players on the thing, only 3 of those mercenaries can move that turn. If that's what the mission calls for.
But as far as replayability, this has a lot to offer,
Tim?
and I like it.
I gave it 5. Anytime you get there's at least 12 hero characters.
And that's just what we got so far.
Right. I mean, there's despite the missions,
This is really bad.
because we all know there's a tiny percentage of people that actually do the missions. I'm starting to learn that board gamers are just like online gamers. They don't give a goddamn about the frickin' story. They just want to kill shit. So
Even Kirby
somebody-
wants to kill shit.
somebody can, read the rules, understand how to make movements, and build their own maps and go from there. And I think it adds an element to the game that you don't get to see in some other games. So this one has definitely got a very high replayability.
Well, Tim, roll into fun. I mean, you're there.
I thought it was a freaking fun game. My dude was just murdering everything.
Because you had Wraith.
He's kicking it.
It's called Wrath, and he's a horseman.
Wrath, Wraith.
He's a horseman of the apocalypse. It's pretty awesome, and I gave it a 4. There's drawbacks, like I said, and those go back to the things that we've mentioned before. The board, some of the figures are warped, some of the terrain's warped. I don't complain about searching through rule books too much because I don't read. I'm willing to wing it. But I do know that there was a few things that we knew were in the rule book, and it took us a minute to locate, and that was agitating but the overall fun is pretty freaking high.
Glenda?
Can you guess?
I bet you she
5?
gave it a 5.
Okay, yeah, I gave it a 5.
What?
I like the game. You know, normally I don't like sci-fi type game. But this one I like. First, you know, from the design aspect, from the that what do you call this again? The game board. It's not just the square.
It's
You know,
not square.
It's not square.
it's not square, boring square. I like it. It's fun. You know, and the characters that they have balance and powers, or the roles are very distinct. That, you know, especially in a co-op game, you can help out to, you know, win the mission. Plus, there's another thing about this game that I really like, and now I cannot remember, but I love the game.
Well, it's a good thing you can't remember it because, you know,
Because it's my turn.
the folks at home might never ever care about it.
If they got to this point. I gave Fun a 4. I had a really good time. Looking through the rule book, that took away from it. But once you learn that thing, it's not that long. Once you learn it front and back, that's not going to hurt it. Tim constantly did pew pew through the whole game, which was enjoyable. But
That was
but
enjoyable.
I gave it a 4. It was above average for fun. I enjoyed going through it. I like the aspect too. Is with the dice rolls, the odds that you actually whiff a dice roll,
Oh,
the way those
there you
dice are
go.
made up, but it's pretty well balanced because
It is.
even the defense dice are the same way. So it is and it isn't hard to kill stuff, and it is and it isn't hard to get hurt. Like Glenda's character got just riddled and died,
Yeah.
I
but
have to sacrifice myself.
Kirby died.
That's what robots do.
That's what they do. They die for the
Which
better
I
humans.
really think it's not necessary.
Run
when you
away,
play it.
human.
I
Save
can take
yourself.
this.
Repopulate the world.
That's what I did. But
Hey,
that is fun.
But overall, guys, Star Saga got a 4.1, and reality, I think that's about right. I think it's above average game. It was pretty
Another-
good. I think Mantic did a really good job at it.
Another bang up job for Mantic.
Hey, as always, guys, support local gaming. We support Discover Games, Fayetteville, Georgia. Game on, guys.
Game about people.
Game on.
Kirby.